Moments ago, we all saw Anita Dunn arriving on the Hill for a closed-door interview with the House Oversight Committee as the panel continues to probe the alleged cover-up of the former president's mental decline. Dunn, who served as Biden's former senior communications advisor, is the 10th witness to be questioned now, but she's only the 7th to appear voluntarily.
Senior national correspondent Aisha Hosni is live on Capitol Hill, and we could see you in the hallway trying to catch up with her. Not sure if she said anything, but let's get your take on this morning's events.
Well, Dana, you saw that last-minute dash because Anita Dunn actually came in from a back door entrance. I think that they've all caught on now, watching us chase them from the front door entrance. They're taking the back hallway now, so I had to race over there and try to catch her along with the rest of the reporters. I did ask her a number of questions. She didn't reply to a single one. Let's see if we can roll this. There, but I do ask her if she thought President Biden was competent to run the country. I asked her why she or anyone else didn't tell the American people that he was having memory issues, that he was less energetic. That is according to a source familiar with Ron Klain's deposition. That's what he apparently told the committee. And I also asked her about the Hunter pardon. She's been public about basically rejecting it, saying that it wasn't a good idea from the Biden administration. We are not expecting her to plead the fifth today. That is because she is not here under a subpoena. She is here voluntarily. And historically, so far, we've had 10 people show up now, 7 of them without a subpoena, and they have gone on for about 5 hours. So we do expect this to be a long deposition. Now, again, I said she has openly criticized the former president's decision to pardon his son, to which Hunter Biden actually fired back in those recent podcasts he did, naming Dunn among his targets. And again, she's the 10th Biden staffer to come on the Hill. Earlier this week, former aide Bruce Reed defended the former president, claiming that his debate issues, his debate struggles were all caused by his stutter, and also claimed that the White House Dr. Kevin O'Connor dismissed those cognitive tests as meaningless. So again, we'll wait and see. She's in the room now. And again, this goes on for quite some time today as they try to figure out if she's going to stir the pot today anymore and unveil any new information about the former president. Dana.
Aisha, thank you. Guy Benson is the host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio and a Fox News contributor. Let's listen to a little bit of Anita Dunn. This was from August of 2024 in the way back machine when there was the switcheroo that the Democrats were dealing with.
He's very comfortable with the decision he made. He believes it was the right decision, that there's nothing more important to him than defeating Donald Trump. And, you know, if you look around over the past 29 days, this is a party that is energetic, that is excited, but also has to understand, as Governor Pritzker said, it is a very tough race, and that all of us need to join together to win this thing. And it's not a time for looking back. It is a time for looking forward.
This is very interesting, Guy, because as I recall, there is some anonymous reporting that said that she wasn't into Joe Biden doing that debate on June 27th with President Trump.
Yeah, well, now's the time for looking back. Maybe not in August of last year, but August of this year. It's imperative that Congress use its oversight role here to try to get to the bottom of the extent of the cover-up, who was part of it, what it entailed. And I think so far we've gotten some tidbits of interest, but a lot of nothing from the people in the inner circle because they were the people who did it, right? So I understand some of them pleading the fifth, they're not really wanting to say much, others maybe offering up a little bit of information. It is possible, Dana, that she'll say a few interesting things today, given the fact that she was willing to break with the Bidens publicly and thus drawing the ire from Hunter Biden, for example, on the pardon issue. But overall, I think there was a lot of chaos internally and tumult when they were throwing Joe Biden out of the race. They framed it as his decision. He was forced out of that race. And I don't think that anyone really wants to step up, raise their hand and say, yeah, we tried to run the presidency by committee in an extra constitutional way, and we tried to foist someone who was clearly unable to do the job 24/7 at the time onto the country for an entire additional full term. Right. No one's going to say that, so I'm not holding my breath. but we'll see what comes out of today's hours-long grilling.
You've had several members of that administration testify already. We can show you that on the board. There's some additional ones who are coming up. One of them is Karine Jean-Pierre. That will be mid-September. And then you also have the Chief of Staff, Jeff Zients, which I think is very interesting. There you can see, I think they're going to pull it up for you, the ones that have testified already. And we will add Anita Dunn to that category as well. In addition, Senator Slotkin, who was most recently a House member, she's a younger Democrat. She won a tough race. She very much wants new leadership in the Democratic Party. Listen here.
Economy and a new generation of leadership, to me, are keys to bringing that next generation into politics.
Is that why you think Mamdani in New York had so much success? It wasn't necessarily his progressiveness, it was his age?
Yeah, I've said very openly that I never would be called an expert on New York City politics, but the two messages were like a blinking red light. How can you miss them? People are still extremely focused on the cost of living and how they can't get ahead. And then number two, they want that new generation of leadership.
So do you think she'll get it?
Well, it's interesting. I would say someone who is cut from the same cloth as Senator Slotkin is Abigail Spanberger, who is a member of the House. She is running for governor in Virginia. She was just asked, I think yesterday, by a local reporter about her position on biological males in women's sports, and her campaign wouldn't give an answer and put out this sort of mealy-mouthed nothing statement, which shows, I think, the real problem that the Democrats have. You can move around the people, you can present some new, fresher, younger faces. If they're going to stick with positions that are on the wrong side of the American public overwhelmingly, you can say, look at our new generation. Are the ideas appealing to people, or do they seem insane and detached from reality? So I think that Slotkin probably didn't want to talk about Mamdani. My guess is a lot of these Democrats would prefer not to talk about him. She might point to a Spanberger as the example of what she wants to see a lot more of in politics. And then you get this episode from yesterday that I really think underscores a lasting issue that they have right now.
It's pretty incredible that that's not an easy question to answer. Guy Benson, thank you so much for being with us today. Have a great day.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.